My wife Jenna, 34, F and I, 36M, have been married for 8 years. We don't have any kids. Jenna is a marketing executive at a big tech company. She's always been very career-driven and ambitious. About a year ago, Jenna got a big promotion at work and started reporting directly to the company's CEO, Alex, 45M. At first, I was happy for her, but then she started working longer hours, going on more business trips with Alex, and acting distant and dismissive towards me at home. Looking back, there were some red flags I missed. Jenna started dressing sexier and wearing more makeup, even on the weekends. She was constantly texting and giggling at her phone. Our sex life dwindled to almost nothing. Jenna always said she was too stressed or tired. One weekend, while Jenna was working late at the office, I decided to surprise her with dinner. When I showed up at her office building, the front desk security guy gave me a confused look. "Jenna? She's at the executive retreat at Lake Tahoe this weekend with the rest of the senior leadership team. Did she not tell you?" My stomach dropped. Jenna had told me she would be at the office all weekend working on a big client presentation. Why would she lie about her whereabouts? Hands trembling, I called her cell. Straight to voicemail. I called the hotel where her company typically held retreats. The concierge confirmed Jenna had checked in yesterday, in a suite with her boss, Alex. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Jenna was cheating on me with her boss and had been lying to my face for who knows how long. I went home in a daze, my mind reeling. How could she do this to me, to our marriage? I poured myself a stiff drink and started scrolling through our shared bank statements, my stomach sinking as I noticed several hefty cash withdrawals and unexplained charges at lingerie stores and spas. Just as I saw the transactions, a text lit up my phone screen. It was from Jenna. "Having an amazing time at the retreat, babe. Wish you were here. I'll make it up to you when I'm back. Love you." My heart shattered into pieces. My wife was having sex with another man while lying to me about a work trip, and she had the nerve to text me that? I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. I was destroyed. How was I supposed to confront this ultimate betrayal by the woman who vowed to love and be faithful to me for life? I couldn't believe the web of lies Jenna had been spinning to hide her infidelity. In a moment of desperate rage, I replied to her text. "I know where you really are. How could you do this?" She immediately started blowing up my phone with calls, but I declined them all. Minutes later, I get this novel of a text. "Babe, it's not what you think. Alex and I just share a suite platonically for work trips. Nothing has ever happened between us. You have to believe me. I would never cheat on you. You're my soulmate. I love you so much." I wasn't about to listen to any more of her lies. I turned my phone off and poured another bourbon. Later that night, I heard the front door open. Jenna came running in, mascara streaked down her face. "I drove back as soon as I could. Please let me explain," she begged dramatically, reaching for me. I pushed her away. "Explain what? How you've been lying and sleeping with your boss for months? Save it, I want a divorce." "No, please, it was one time, it meant nothing. Alex took advantage of me. It will never happen again." She was hysterical, begging on her knees. I couldn't even look at her. "Get out, go stay with him, since you clearly love fucking him so much." I walked out and slammed the door behind me, Jenna's sobs echoing as I left. The next morning, I was woken up by my phone ringing off the hook. It was Alex's number. I declined the call, utterly confused. Why the fuck was he calling me? Moments later, a text came through. "Hi, OP, this is Alex, Jenna's boss. I apologize for contacting you directly, but I need to urgently discuss a sensitive matter with you regarding Jenna. As awkward as this is, I assure you I am reaching out with the utmost respect and discretion. Please call me back when you have a moment." What the actual fuck? Now her lover wants to talk to me directly? The audacity! Enraged and perplexed, I called him back, ready to rip him a new one for wrecking my marriage. "OP, thank you for calling me back," he answered calmly. "I know this is an unprecedented breach of professional boundaries, but I felt I had no choice after what Jenna did last night. There's no easy way to say this, so I'll just come out with it. Jenna propositioned me for sex at the retreat. I rejected her and she went ballistic, throwing things and threatening to accuse me of sexually assaulting her if I didn't sleep with her. She was completely unhinged. I had hotel security remove her. I think she has a lot of issues." I was utterly stunned. I didn't know what to believe anymore. Was he telling the truth, or was this just a sick gambit on both their parts to cover their tracks? He continued, "I know this is a lot to process, but I have hotel security footage of the incident." I'd be happy to share it with you or the authorities if need be. I'm terribly sorry you're going through this. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. I've known Jenna was troubled for a while, but I didn't realize how bad it was. I should have done more to get her help. I thanked him robotically and hung up, not even knowing what to think anymore. Moments later, I got a security footage download email from the hotel. I clicked on it. There was Jenna, looking deranged, screaming at a bewildered Alex, throwing a vase at his head before being restrained by a large security guard. My wife was even more troubled than I ever imagined. Had our whole marriage been a lie? Had I ever even known the real Jenna at all? With shaking hands, I texted her. I saw the footage. Let's talk. What was I about to find out about the woman I thought I knew? Jenna came back to our house within the hour, looking strung out and disheveled. Her eyes were bloodshot, and her hair was a tangled mess. She looked nothing like the put-together executive I was used to. OP, you have to let me explain, she began frantically as soon as she walked in the door. Alex came on to me. He's been sexually harassing me for months. I only went along with it because he threatened to fire me if I didn't. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought you'd be mad at me. I'm so sorry. She burst into hysterical sobs, grabbing onto my shirt. I gently pried her fingers off of me, trying to keep my voice steady. Jenna, I saw the security footage. You threw a vase at Alex's head and threatened to accuse him of assault if he didn't sleep with you. That's not what a victim does. That's what an abuser does. No, 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 you're twisting it all around, she screeched manically, tugging at her hair. Alex is the abuser. He's a powerful man. No one would believe me if I told the truth. I had to take matters into my own hands. I shook my head sadly, seeing the woman I once loved so deeply unraveling into someone I didn't recognize at all. Jenna, I think you need serious help. You're not well. These lies have gone too far. I want a divorce. Her demeanor shifted from hysterical to ice-cold in an instant. She narrowed her eyes at me, her voice dripping with venom. You'll regret this. I'll tell everyone you abused me. I'll take all your money. It'll ruin your fucking life. You'll wish you never crossed me. Hands trembling, I pulled out my phone and quietly pressed record. Is that a threat? Are you threatening me right now? It's not a threat, you piece of shit. It's a promise. I'm going to make your life a living hell. You'll be penniless and in jail by the time I'm done with you. No one will believe a word you say against me. Watch your back, asshole. With that, she stormed out, slamming the door behind her so hard a framed picture fell off the wall and shattered. I fell to my knees, taking deep breaths to try to calm my racing heart. What the hell just happened? How could the woman I once loved so deeply have transformed into this vindictive, unhinged stranger? For the first time, I began to fear for my own safety and reputation. Would Jenna actually follow through on these threats? How far would she go to punish me? I needed to start protecting myself. With shaking hands, I downloaded a copy of the voice recording to a private cloud. Then I called the best divorce attorney in town. Hi, I need your help, I said to the receptionist, my voice cracking with exhaustion and emotion. My wife is psychologically unwell and is threatening me. I'm afraid of what she might do. I need an emergency divorce filing and probably a restraining order. The receptionist put me straight through to the chief legal counsel. Sir, you absolutely did the right thing contacting us, given what you've described. Your wife's behavior is extremely concerning. Let's get you in here right away and go over the facts. We'll do everything we can to protect you. After I got off the phone with the lawyer, I went to the bank and froze all our accounts so Jenna couldn't drain them. Then I went to stay with my brother. I was too afraid to be alone. What had I gotten myself into? The next few weeks were a blur of meetings with divorce lawyers, phone calls with the police, and restless nights at my brother's place, jumping at every noise, wondering if Jenna was going to show up and make good on her threats. I got the emergency restraining order, but that didn't stop Jenna from launching a smear campaign against me. She went scorched earth on social media, posting lengthy rants accusing me of abusing her and cheating on her with my coworkers. She tagged all our friends and family, trying to drag my name through the mud and play the victim. At first, I was stunned that people might believe her lies, but then I remembered I had evidence, the hotel security footage of her attacking Alex and the recording of her threatening me. I posted them both publicly with a lengthy explanation of the real story, her affair, her lies, her unhinged behavior, and threats towards me and her boss when we discovered the truth. Most of our mutual friends and family were shocked and disgusted with Jenna when they saw the proof. They rallied around me with support and cut her off. But Jenna's parents believed her lies and hired a high-powered lawyer for her to try to bury me in divorce court. In our first divorce hearing, her lawyer spun this whole story about me being controlling, cruel, and suspicious, driving Jenna into the arms of a kind, caring boss who supported her when her husband wouldn't. I gritted my teeth, listening to his wildly skewed version of events, portraying Jenna as the innocent victim. But then my lawyer played the recording of Jenna threatening to falsely accuse me of abuse and ruin my life. The color drained from her lawyer's face. The judge's eyes narrowed at Jenna. In light of this evidence of blatant emotional abuse, manipulation, and intent to commit libel and fraud by Mrs. Callahan, I am granting the restraining order and an immediate asset freeze on the couple's accounts. Divorce proceedings will continue with the assumption of bad faith actions by the respondent. Next hearing is in 3 months. Jenna wailed, collapsing dramatically, but the judge simply banged his gavel unmoved. I breathed a sigh of relief and squeezed my lawyer's shoulder in thanks. We walked out feeling like the tide was turning. But Jenna wasn't done. The next day, Alex called me again. "OP, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I'm afraid I have more bad news. Jenna showed up at the office this morning screaming that she was going to expose us all. She live-streamed a video in the parking lot saying I had gotten her pregnant and then forced her to have an abortion. None of this is true, of course. It was so unhinged that I had to call the police to have her removed for trespassing. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this." My heart raced with panic. I called my lawyer with an update and asked if this violated the restraining order. He said since it happened at her office, not near my home or work, it wasn't technically a violation, but that he would file an emergency injunction to compel her to remove the defamatory video. I felt so helpless, attacked from all angles by Jenna's vicious lies and instability. I stayed up all night scouring the internet for traces of her smear video, reporting them all for removal. Would this nightmare ever end? Would I ever be free of her web of destruction? I wanted to believe justice would prevail, but Jenna's vindictiveness seemed to know no bounds. I steeled myself for the next unpredictable strike whenever it would come. A few days after Jenna's manic live stream meltdown, I was served papers at my brother's house. Jenna was suing me for defamation, emotional distress, and get this, transmitting her an STD. I was floored. I had never cheated on Jenna and had no STDs. This was clearly another unhinged attempt to assassinate my character. My lawyer was able to get the STD accusation thrown out quickly since I took an STD test that came back clean and Jenna had no evidence whatsoever. But she was still coming after me, guns blazing with the defamation suit, claiming I had ruined her reputation and caused her to lose her job by publishing the hotel footage and recordings of her. The next hearing was a circus. Jenna showed up with her parents, her new boyfriend who looked barely out of college, and a new attack dog lawyer who was even more ruthless than the first. They held a press conference on the courthouse steps, painting me as a vindictive, abusive ex-husband out to destroy her life because I was threatened by her career success. It made me sick. In court, her new lawyer made a meal out of me, twisting my words and making me out to be a monster. I held my ground, keeping my story straight. But it was brutal. The only silver lining was that partway through her lawyer's tirade, the judge interrupted him. Highly unusual. "Counsel, I am deeply disturbed by the respondent's escalating actions in and out of this courtroom. Perjury is a serious offense. I will be ordering a full investigation by the DA into the truth of the claims made by both parties. In the meantime, I am ordering the respondent to cease and desist from making any public comments about the petitioner at risk of being held in contempt of court. Bailiff, please ensure the media is cleared from the building." Jenna's lawyer looked pale. Jenna started fake crying. I felt a glimmer of hope as the judge walked out. Maybe this circus would finally be reined in and the truth would be heard. But that hope was short-lived. The next morning, I was awoken by the police pounding on my brother's door. "Mr. Callahan, you're under arrest for the assault and battery of Jenna Callahan." My jaw dropped. What the actual fuck? I asked to see the police report as I was cuffed. It said Jenna had shown up to the police station last night bruised and bloody, claiming I broke into her place, beat her up, and tried to strangle her. There was no way this was possible since I had been at my brother's place all night, 2 hours away. This is impossible, I pleaded with the officers. I was nowhere near her. She is lying and I can prove it. I demand you check my biometric data from last night. GPS, health app, ring camera. The officers exchanged glances and made a call to the station. An hour later, after they had verified my airtight digital alibi, they uncuffed me. Mr. Callahan, you're free to go. We apologize for the confusion. It appears your wife's report was unsubstantiated. This will be reported to the judge in your divorce proceedings. Have a good day. I collapsed on the couch, my head spinning. Jenna's viciousness knew no bounds. She had just tried to frame me for a violent felony. I shuddered at how close I had come to having my life ruined. I needed to pull out all the stops to put an end to this. No more Mr. Nice Guy. After Jenna's attempt to frame me for assault blew up in her face, I thought maybe, just maybe, she would back off. I was wrong. My brother, who had been my rock through all this, sat me down for a heart-to-heart. Bro, this is getting scary. Jenna is unhinged. She just tried to frame you for a violent crime. You need to get ahead of this before she succeeds in ruining your life. You need to go public with your side before she spins the whole narrative. I knew he was right. It was time to go on the offense. I called up an old college friend who was now a producer for a national crime news show. Hey, Mark, it's been a long time. I need your help. How would you like an exclusive on the story of a lifetime? I'm talking Gone Girl level of insanity, and I've got the receipts to back it all up. Mark was intrigued. I laid out the whole sordid saga, how a dream marriage had crumbled into betrayal, abuse, and harassment after my wife had an affair with her boss, and I filed for divorce. I told him I had video footage, recordings, witness statements, GPS data, all of it. Holy shit, dude, Mark breathed. This is nuts. With the evidence you have, this could be the biggest story since the Amber Heard trial. Let's do a primetime special. I'll have a camera crew at your place tomorrow. The next day, I sat down for a tell-all interview, holding nothing back. I played the recordings of Jenna's unhinged threats. I showed the hotel footage of her attacking Alex. I laid out the timeline of her escalating lies and smear campaign. I even had Alex join me for part of the interview, backing up everything. I choked up as I recounted Jenna's false assault accusation. She tried to frame me and send me to prison, all to punish me for filing for divorce after I caught her cheating. She is not well. I am genuinely afraid of what she might do next. If something happens to me, I want the world to know the truth. When the interview aired, it was like a bomb went off. It was the #1 trending topic on social media. Most people were horrified by Jenna's actions and sympathetic to me. But of course, Jenna went ballistic. She started flooding my social media comments with abuse from fake accounts. She filed another bogus restraining order against me for defaming her. She even filed a false police report that I had violated the restraining order, but luckily I had an alibi. 2 days after the interview aired, I got a frantic call from Alex. OP, Jenna just posted a suicide note on Facebook. She said you and I had destroyed her life and that she couldn't go on. I've called 911 and they're doing a welfare check, but I thought you should know. My blood ran cold. As angry as I was with Jenna, I had never wanted something like this. I frantically called the police to see if they had found her. After a tense hour, they called back. We located your wife. She's alive, but she was non-responsive when we arrived. We've transported her to Mercy Hospital for emergency psychiatric evaluation. You may want to get down there. I rushed to the hospital, not knowing what I would find. I was still Jenna's medical proxy. Would she even want to see me? What if this was another trap to make me look bad? I steeled myself as I walked into the psych ward, preparing for anything. Mr. Callahan? A gentle voice called. It was a doctor with kind eyes. I'm Dr. Liu, the psychiatrist on duty. Thank you for coming. I'm glad we can speak privately. Based on my initial evaluation of Jenna, I believe she is suffering from undiagnosed borderline personality disorder and is currently in crisis. She is a danger to herself and others right now. I know this is a lot to take in, but with treatment, there is hope. Let's discuss next steps. I sat down in a daze as the doctor laid out a plan for Jenna's care and recovery. It was a bittersweet realization. Jenna's actions hadn't been sane or rational because she was very mentally ill. It didn't excuse everything she'd done, but it explained a lot. Maybe both of us could start to heal now. I knew the road ahead would still be bumpy, but for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of hope. Jenna was in the hospital for 2 weeks. During that time, I had a lot of difficult conversations with Dr. Liu about Jenna's prognosis and treatment plan. Borderline personality disorder is a serious mental illness characterized by unstable relationships, self-image issues, extreme emotions, and impulsivity. A lot of Jenna's erratic behavior started to make more sense through that lens. Dr. Liu recommended an intensive inpatient treatment program for Jenna to really focus on DBT skills and therapy without outside stressors. I agreed, knowing Jenna needed more help than I could provide. However, this meant putting the divorce proceedings on hold, which made me uneasy. I needed to protect myself. My lawyer petitioned the court to grant me legal separation with an asset freeze and temporary spousal support payments to cover Jenna's medical care during her treatment. The judge agreed, with the condition that our divorce would be finalized as soon as Jenna was discharged. Jenna was served the separation papers in the hospital. She didn't take it well. She left me a voicemail screaming that I was abandoning her when she needed me most, and that I would regret throwing her away. It shook me, but I tried to have compassion, knowing she was very unwell. 2 days later, I was working from home when I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of me, sitting at my desk, time-stamped 2 minutes ago. I spun around wildly, my heart in my throat. How was someone watching me? Hands shaking, I dialed 911. The police arrived within minutes and swept the house. They found a small webcam hidden in the light fixture above my desk. Someone had broken in and planted it. I felt violated and terrified. The police took the camera for analysis and dusted for prints. I called Dr. Liu in a panic. Jenna was still in the hospital, right? She assured me Jenna hadn't left the facility and had been in group therapy all day. So who had done this? I shivered, a creeping dread washing over me. Had Jenna hired someone to stalk me? The next day, I was questioned at the police station. They had analyzed the camera. The serial number traced back to a purchase made on my credit card a month ago. I was floored. I had never bought a camera, but then it clicked. Jenna had access to my cards. She must have bought it under my name. The police said the prints on the camera matched Jenna's. She had planted it before checking into the hospital. They said with the proof of purchase and prints, they had enough cause to arrest her for unlawful surveillance as soon as she was discharged. I felt sick and violated, knowing Jenna had been spying on me, plotting against me even as I was trying to get her help. I thought I had taken all the precautions, but she was always one step ahead in her obsession to destroy me. I hired a security company to sweep my house for more bugs and change all the locks. I got extra security cameras installed. I was looking over my shoulder constantly, paranoid about Jenna's next move. My nightmare came true 2 weeks later. In the middle of the night, I was jolted awake by the sound of breaking glass downstairs. I bolted up and checked the security camera feed on my phone. My blood ran cold. A figure in a black hoodie was prowling around my living room, holding something in their gloved hand. I zoomed in. It was a knife. I frantically dialed 911 and grabbed the baseball bat I now kept under my bed. My heart was pounding out of my chest. The dispatcher told me to stay put. Police were speeding to my location. I watched on the cameras as the prowler moved from room to room, searching for me. They were coming up the stairs now. Suddenly, I heard sirens outside and shouting downstairs. The police! They confronted the intruder, ordering them to drop the weapon. After a tense standoff, the prowler finally put down the knife. The police cuffed them and yanked off their hood. I gasped. It was Jenna. Jenna's betrayal and violation knew no bounds. She had become my living nightmare. Her obsession was terrifying and dangerous. I knew right then I could never be safe until I was finally free of her. But would the law protect me before it was too late? Jenna was arrested and charged with aggravated stalking, breaking and entering, and assault with a deadly weapon. I thought I would feel relieved, but I just felt hollow and exhausted. How had my life come to this? How had the woman I once loved turned into someone capable of such calculated cruelty? At her arraignment, Jenna pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. The judge ordered a full psychiatric evaluation to determine her competency to stand trial. I watched numbly as she was led away in handcuffs, her eyes boring into me with an unreadable expression. Her lawyer petitioned to have her transferred to a minimum security mental health facility while awaiting trial, citing her BPD diagnosis and recent suicide attempt. The judge agreed, with the stipulation of GPS monitoring and a protective order barring her from coming within 500 feet of me. I tried to throw myself into work and therapy, desperately trying to regain some sense of normalcy, but it was impossible with Jenna's specter hanging over me. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart seized with dread, fearing what fresh hell she would unleash next. 2 weeks after the break-in, I came home from work to find a large manila envelope stuffed in my mailbox with no return address. My stomach knotted as I opened it. Inside was a stack of photos of me, recent photos of me going about my daily life, at the office, running errands, even inside my house. My hands shook as I flipped through them, each one more invasive than the last. On the last photo, there was a message scrawled in red marker, "I am always watching." I broke out in a cold sweat. How? Jenna was being monitored 24/7 at the psychiatric facility. I called the police with this new evidence of stalking and harassment. They said they would investigate, but that it was likely an accomplice helping her. I realized nowhere was safe. I couldn't trust anyone. I packed a bag and fled to a hotel that night, paying cash so I couldn't be traced. I hired a private security detail the next day. It bled my finances dry, but I was terrified of what Jenna would do next. My fears were confirmed a week later. I was at the courthouse giving a deposition for the criminal case against Jenna. As I was leaving, a process server approached me with an envelope. "Mr. Callahan, you've been served. Have a nice day." I tore open the envelope, my heart hammering. It was a civil lawsuit from Alex. He was suing me for intentional infliction of emotional distress and tortious interference with business relations. I was stunned. Hands shaking, I called my lawyer. "What the hell is this? Why is Alex suing me? I thought he was on my side." My lawyer sighed heavily. "I just got off the phone with Alex's attorney. He's claiming you and Jenna colluded to falsely accuse him of sexual misconduct and that it's damaged his reputation and career. He's seeking $5 million in damages." The room started spinning. This couldn't be happening. Alex had defended me. Why would he turn on me like this unless Jenna had gotten to him somehow? Had she manipulated him into thinking I was the enemy? Or had he been playing me this whole time? I didn't know what to believe anymore. As if this day couldn't get any worse, an hour later I got a frantic call from Dr. Leo. "Mr. Callahan, I'm afraid I have some very concerning news. Jenna is missing. She never returned from her community outing past this afternoon. Her GPS tracker shows her heading to the airport. We think she's fled the state." I hung up and vomited into the trash can, my mind reeling. Could this get any more nightmarish? Jenna was in the wind. Alex had betrayed me, and I was fighting a war on all fronts. I was at my wit's end. How much more could I endure? Just then, I got a text. It was from Jenna. There was a photo of an airport gate sign. The caption read, "Catch me if you can. I'm going to make you pay." I stared at Jenna's taunting text, my blood boiling. She was toying with me, enjoying my torment. In that moment, something in me snapped. No more cowering in fear while she pulled the strings. No more playing defense. It was time to beat Jenna at her own game. I forwarded Jenna's text to the police and FBI, along with the envelope of stalker photos and the details of Alex's suspicious lawsuit. I hired a forensic accountant and PI to dig into Jenna and Alex's backgrounds, to find any dirt I could use as leverage. What the PI uncovered made my jaw drop. It turned out this wasn't the first time Alex had been accused of misconduct. 3 women at his previous company had made complaints against him for harassment, but they were quietly paid off and silenced. And Jenna? She had a secret bank account that had received big transfers from Alex going back months before I caught them. She was planning her exit affair long before I discovered it. Armed with this new ammunition, I played my trump card. I called a press conference and laid out all the evidence of Alex's predatory behavior and his and Jenna's conspiracy to gaslight and destroy me when I tried to expose them. I implored Jenna to turn herself in and get help. Well, the media firestorm was instant and furious. Alex was eviscerated. He got fired from his job in disgrace. His reputation was ruined, and his lawsuit against me was DOA now that he had been exposed as the true villain. I had hit Jenna where it hurt by taking away her affair partner and sugar daddy. But Jenna was still in the wind, a fugitive from justice growing more unhinged by the day. She became wanted by the FBI for interstate stalking and fleeing arrest. Tips came flooding in from all over the country. Jenna sightings, unconfirmed reports of her trying to buy a gun. It was like a nationwide manhunt. Finally, after weeks of sleepless nights and 24/7 security, I got the call I had been dreading and hoping for. The FBI had located Jenna. She had been in a standoff with police at a motel threatening to shoot. After tense negotiations, she surrendered and was taken into custody. It was over. She couldn't hurt me anymore. At her trial, it all came out. The affair, the lies, the gaslighting, the stalking, the attacks. The evidence was overwhelming. I took the stand and faced her, stronger now, refusing to be intimidated. The jury convicted her on all counts. With the seriousness of her crimes and mental illness, the judge sentenced her to 10 years in a maximum security psychiatric facility. When it was all over, I wept. For the love we once had, for the future we lost, for the hell she put me through. But mostly I wept from sheer relief. I had survived Jenna's reign of terror. I was finally free. It's been a year since Jenna was sentenced. I've started putting my life back together. I finalized the divorce and moved to a new city for a fresh start. I'm in therapy, working through the trauma and learning to trust again. I even started dating someone new, taking it slow. I still have nightmares sometimes about Jenna coming back to hurt me. I don't know if that fear will ever fully go away, but I'm done letting her control me. I'm done being a victim. I'm a survivor. I share my story not for pity or attention, but in hope that it helps someone else. If you are being abused or harassed by a partner, ex, anyone, please get help. Speak up. Don't let them gaslight you into silence and submission. You don't have to face it alone. Leaving Jenna was the hardest thing I ever did, but it was also the most important, because in the end, I chose me. I chose my safety, sanity, and right to live in peace. And I will never let anyone take that from me again, not even in the name of love. So that's my crazy, awful, life-changing tale of discovering my wife's affair. It destroyed me, but it also freed me, and for that, I'm darkly grateful. Stay safe, sane, and strong out there. Thanks for listening. Dear listeners, thank you for your incredible support and for tuning into my stories on YouTube. Your enthusiasm and feedback mean the world to me. Stay tuned for more exciting tales. Warm regards.